Today on Core Conversations, we have Yunny Bisserette. Yunny is a teacher in the New York City area, and she has an amazing perspective on Black lives, racism in the studio, and how we can do a better job of making those connections and having the opportunity to sit at one big table. She sheds light on the ways to change, and really what it comes down to is we need to get comfortable by being uncomfortable. We need to learn to listen to one another, and ultimately this brings us to a place where we can take care of ourselves, be confident in ourselves, have no masks on, and be able to really make a difference. Enjoy the conversation.
Okay, so my name is Yunny, not Yunny, and I always say that because people think it's Yunny, but just I have to train my own phone to tell her that it's Yunny and not Yunny. And I am the founder of YUNNYBEEPIlates. I teach an online Pilates platform, and I emphasize on attention and giving feedback. Usually if you see other methods that people are working out with their clients, and that's great if that's what you're looking for, but specifically I feel for myself that I like a teacher giving me attention and feedback so I know I'm doing the exercises right. So that's how my platform is. And it started during the COVID because when I lost my job, I was like, oh damn, let me figure this out because I need to survive.
Really, that's how even Core Conversations started, by just being a daily IG of what are you doing? How are you surviving? And bringing together this Pilates community to say like, hey, I have an online class now, or I have all these different things going on. And I wanted to highlight people like yourself in this. So where do you live?
I live in New York City. A little crazy, but the area that I am located right now, it's not too many people. So it's more when you go into Lower Manhattan, that's when the protest is happening. So I'm fortunate enough that I am not in that section, but I am signing the petition, doing the donations, doing my research. So that is my way of protesting. Also, I'm not very good with crowds. I can't have, that's too much for me.
We were joking earlier about the fact that this is like is this your second official interview?
Yes, but technically you're the first guy to interview. So technically it's my first interview.
There you go. I'll take it. I'll take it. No, because and this is a time when we need to really speak up. If we have a voice, we have an insight, and to not be afraid to do that, right? So I commend you for that, because it has been good, and you've said some brilliant things when you were on with Leslie, and I see your posts as well. So I want to take some time today to really help to paint a picture of what the landscape looks like as a Black woman in Pilates.
Right. So, well, before I get to that, I have to actually explain where I'm coming from, because I'm seeing some information on social media in general, that are not bad. It's just a little bit confusing. So I just hear me out first, and then you're going to get a better understanding of what it is to be a Black Afro-Latina. So there you go. Yeah. So my father is Haitian and my mother is from Honduras. And my major, because I went to college and I graduated, is culinary and hospitality management. So nowhere near the Pilates fitness at all. Right. So there was a Pilates studio above the location, this coffee shop food area that I was working for. And when I used to walk to this place, I would see these fuzzy things hang off what's called the Cadillac. And the first thought in my head was, I thought that was like a sex store, because just the way it looks, I'm like, okay, that's kind of, you have really big windows to be showing that, but okay. So, but a teacher came down and offered me to take a Pilates class, and I was a little hesitant because I don't want to go to that place. That's
sex store.
Yeah, that's sex store. Right, what are you doing? But I went anyway because he told me it was exercise. I'm like, okay. So I went upstairs and I took a class. I thought it was so weird and very different, but I liked it for some reason. I liked the exercises and I just liked the teacher. So the owner came out of nowhere and just said, do you want to become a Pilates instructor? I'm like,
wow.
That's it. Yeah, just rip off the Band-Aid. So I said yes, but I only said yes because I didn't like the job that I was working at because people are scary when it comes to their coffee. So, so I said, yeah, why not? Let's go for it. And I did the instructor program. I did their, what's it called? Where you work for it instead of paying for the full price because I was 22 years old and I could not afford $4,000.
Yes.
So when I finally got certified, and the certification was very, very short, so I wasn't fully aware of how the whole Pilates system is. I was just trained on the reformer and the Cadillac, and that's pretty much about it. So that I will go back to that later. But when I started to teach, I did not like it. I actually hated it. I hated it so much because I was quiet. My personality is not talking to people, which I explained in Leslie's interview. But the reason I'm emphasizing that is because I had to push I had to get out of my comfort zone. I had to get uncomfortable. I had to keep going because 1, I don't want to go back to that coffee shop. 2, I'm starting to actually like it. But it still made me feel uncomfortable. But I did it anyway because I said, screw it, let's just go for it. Why not? Like the same way how I messaged Leslie, the same way I'm going to you. I'm doing this interview, even though I'm scared as hell.
Nah, you're fine. Just flow with it. Go, keep going.
Right.
Yeah.
So I started to get better at it. I started to do the education and learn for myself, read the books, take the classes, go to people that I feel like that can help me understand Pilates more. I started to notice that I started to be somebody else. Now, even if certain studios, the first studio I worked for didn't tell me that, oh, you're supposed to be like this, it was kind of like indirectly.
Okay.
Right? In a way. And I thought that a teacher is someone who is tall, slim, long blonde hair, speaks with this type of voice. And that's what I thought a teacher was. Because if you go to any Pilates studio, if you just go on Google, Pilates teachers are looks like that. Mm-hmm. So I thought I had to be like that because if I'm by myself, I feel like people are watching me and judging me. And I have to be on my A game just because not only am I representing myself, but I'm representing my whole entire race. Yes. And I want people to understand that you can't do that. You can't you have to see me as an individual. Mm-hmm. I am a Black woman, I'm Afro-Latina. I did not experience racism until I became a Pilates instructor. So beforehand, I was not aware of this stuff. So I didn't know that I'm supposed to be a specific way. I just thought I had to be what you see online is the really tall and slim instructor. And I'm curvy too. So that was like another layer. People didn't even think I was an instructor because the way I look. I don't look the fitnessy way.
Now, do you feel like you had to bring it every time? Do you feel like you had to have the best presentation and the best cues? Like, do you feel like you had to overcompensate with your performance as a teacher just to feel like you deserve to be there?
Yes, because again, from what I have seen, people judge you. If I try to act a certain way, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, she's just like those rest of those Black girls," and I'm just like, no. So now I have to become a different person. And there was a moment when my sister was she was like the front desk person. Okay. And she was watching me. She loves watching me. She loves the jokes that I make with my clients. And then one day I just plop on the chair, totally exhausted. And I'm like, wow, that was a lot of work. Why am I so tired? And she's just like nonchalant saying, well, that's what happened when you're trying to be someone else. It's exhausting. Yes. It's effortless to be yourself. And that blew my mind.
It takes energy to be someone else.
Mm-hmm. So once I took her advice, which she would say, she doesn't take my advice. She always listens to everyone else. But anyway, I started to just say, screw it. I'm going to be myself because I don't know how to be someone else. I know how to be me.
Yes.
So I started to speak how I would like to speak. I dress how I like to dress. And even as a fitness instructor, you're supposed to wear matching sports bra and pants. You're supposed to have your hair put in a certain way to look presentable. I'm like, I can't brush my hair every morning because it's a lot. It's a lot of work, and I'd rather sleep than brush my hair.
That's top priorities.
Yeah,
yes.
right, exactly. I had to teach 6 in the morning. I had to wake up 4 o'clock in the morning. What you want me to do? Wake up 3 o'clock just to get my hair and makeup done? Like, I can't do that. So, but what I'm not going to do is just coming in with my pajamas and say, okay, let's go. You know, it's still a professional environment, but but I should be able to you should still be able to see my personality and who I am as a person. So.
Right. I mean, and all that you just said there too, Yunny, I think of like that notion of like an imposter series, you know, syndrome series, imposter syndrome, right? Because like it's like you want to be yourself and do these things and present in a certain way and do all these different things, but in the back of your head, you're like, am I really this? Because I'm not this tall, slender white girl with this lineage of teaching. I'm being myself here. And is being myself here good enough?
Right. And that's another layer. That's what I feel like every Pilates instructor deals with. No matter how good you are, I feel like we all have this little this imposter syndrome. That are we good enough? Once I found out that there is more to Pilates than just reformer and Cadillac, my first introduction to Pilates, even though I was still teaching it, was a classical mat class. And teachers would take my class and they say, oh my God, you're amazing. Come take my class. And I'm like, oh my God, you're a teacher? And I would get so flipping scared when a teacher takes my class. To this day, I still get scared. But I'm like, screw it. Let's just do it. If they like me, they will. If they don't,
anyway.
It's okay. Yep. Exactly.
Yes.
So then I started to experience the GRATZ equipment. And I started to learn different type of equipment, different methods of teaching, because I was trained on balanced body.
Okay.
And what I realized that as I kept learning, I didn't have enough money to do the full comprehensive like I wanted to do. So what I did was I go to teachers who are have more experience, 20, 30 years of experience. And because of Black Girl Pilates, I've met those teachers.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're basically my mentor. They're the reason why I am where I am now. Now, even though I am currently doing a connected certification, you know, they're adding on to the knowledge that I have, but I am giving the credit to the women, to Tanya Marie Amos, to Sonia, to Nikki Taylor Stewart, to Benaldra, to Marimba, because I take her classes. She gave me advice and tips and information that I needed to become a better Pilates instructor. So before I can say, yes, I'm getting trained by Kelly Kane certification, understand I've been teaching for 4 years prior to that.
Yes.
But even though with all that, with all the information I was getting, I feel like I was the luckiest girl because I get to see all these amazing women. And I'm just like, I'm 23 years old and I'm talking to this instructor who's like 40 years into her life. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm getting so the juicy bits, like, yay. That's how I felt, like a little girl who's getting presents. Like I'm the only person getting the presents. Like that's how I felt. But again, even with the stuff that I learned, I still felt that imposter, that I felt like I wasn't a Pilates instructor, that I wasn't good at the things. My teaching wasn't as great as others. But I started to listen to my clients. I started to listen to teachers that say, Yunny, you're a great instructor. So what I decided to do was let the work show how great an instructor I am.
Exactly. There's a great comment here from Helen Hayes Pilates. It says, this is so good to hear. I think we all do have that imposter syndrome despite our appearances. And that's exactly it. I mean, that imposter syndrome doesn't come just from the skin that we're in. It comes from our confidence from the inside out. It really does. So you feel that going to a certain space, and you have to remember who you are. And for one, and you also have to remember that there's people in your world that speak life to you, and you can learn from them and you can grow based on what they say. And there's people outside of that, it doesn't really matter what they think. So we have to be very selective on whose voices we allow into our head.
Right, exactly. But we also, as self, we have to put in the work, because for a long time, until the coronavirus, I let the studios bring the clients to me. When clients take my classes, they see, oh, Yunny's amazing, let me work with her. I don't have to put in any of the work to say, yeah, I'm amazing, I'm awesome, I'm cool. Like, you can see it. But now, because of the coronavirus, I don't work for a studio anymore. Now I have to promote myself. And that is the hardest, scariest thing to do. And
can we pause it for a quick second?
Because
that, like, what you're saying there is so true. And yesterday when Alexa, Low Impact Fit, from Atlanta was on, she was saying that same thing. And the thing that really cut her is like, okay, I'm teaching these studios and people were coming. How do I get more people that look like me in here? So yes, it's one thing to draw your own clients. There's another thing to draw in clients that look like you, to bring that diversity and inclusion to the space.
Right.
So as you continue with your story of how you build your clientele, can you just like share that, but also think about like building your clientele, but also building diversity at the same time as building your clientele?
Right. So I am still trying to figure that out, even though I am a Black Afro-Latina. But just because I'm like, hey, I'm Black here, come to me, it's not going to happen like that. So one thing I had to first work on before I could even go for people of color is I had to work on myself. And I invested in a business coach because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, one. And second is the things that, her name is Stephanie Lopez Gilmore, and she's amazing. And she had to basically give me homework of, you need to talk to the mirror. You need to go on camera. I need you to do your first live. And that was scary, but I did it anyway because I want to keep going with this. Yeah. And once I start getting better at that, then I started, okay, now who is the clientele that I want? But I have to, now for myself, I see for me is that I have to go to certain platforms that have people of color and educate them. Because a lot of people don't know what Pilates is. But if you Google Pilates, you're going to think it's for white women. Sometimes people of color don't see Pilates as, is it for me? So I have to educate them, no, it's for everyone. It's for everybody. It's for every body type. Because if you only see one specific thing, why would I go to it? I know everyone knows yoga. Some people don't. But like, you see different bodies. You're seeing different men. You see women, transgender. You know, you see all those types of people. But with Pilates, not so much.
Not so much.
So just like, I have to put in the work and go into these platforms and talk to them and educate, hey, I'm a Black Afro-Latina woman. I teach Pilates. I take Pilates. I have clients with different sizes, but they have to see that.
Yes. Yes.
So if you're asking me what am I looking for, or like how to get more Black people in my business, I still have to do that research. I'm still figuring it out.
I think we all are. And for every space that we're in, we're going to have to ask those questions and make our adjustments, make our pivots as we go. So that's great. That's totally fine. I think we see Sonia's here is on as well. Let's see, hi to a few people as well. There's a Slam Dunkin' Wellness was another person.
Oh, that's my I call her, she's my boo thing. I have a few of them. Bridget is Slam Dunkin' Wellness. She is my boo. So she has a lot to say too.
Yes. One of the things that we were talking about earlier too, Yunny, was the experience as an African-American woman, as opposed to like one of your colleagues was from Europe as a Black woman. Or myself as a Canadian Black person in this Pilates space. Can you articulate what would be some of the differences in our experiences that we bring to the Pilates space?
Well, I don't know what the racism is in other countries. I know there is colorism, and I know there's social class, and that has a big part of it. But when it comes to racism in the United States, and you all obviously know, I remember working with her, and she comes from France, I think. If I'm correct, if I'm wrong, please correct me. But she doesn't she didn't take it she wasn't as angry as some other folks would be, because this is just, you know, this was new to her. And she understands that, she understands for herself that she's a different Black woman. And she cannot, the same way how I'm not super angry when people give me these certain microaggression because I wasn't aware. I think for her, she wasn't aware too. Maybe to her mind or my mind is that we just see ourselves as just regular people teaching Pilates.
Right.
So now that I'm more aware and I start to see more of when my coworker who touched my hair or someone who confused me as a front desk person, you know, that's when I started to notice certain things. But am I going to get flipping angry? Yes, I'm angry, but I can't. I'm a person who sees both sides.
Yes. Right. Now, but unpack for a second, like microaggressions. For those of you who are watching, like what would be an example of a microaggression? Like when you say like someone touching your hair, like can you just expand it just so we can understand exactly what that means?
Okay. So microaggressions is just saying that your intentions are not, you know, your intentions are not bad, but you're not aware that you're saying certain things that can be hurtful. So for example, like this is more extreme, but it's still a good example. I had a coworker, love her, she's great, she's a white woman. And I decided to put my hair in two little pom-poms like in Mickey Mouse because I did not want to put my hair in like a pineapple because Sonia keeps calling me a pineapple. And
which might be classified as a microaggression.
No, not at all.
Okay.
I love it. But the lady came and screamed and said, "Oh my God, I love your hair," and just went at them, grabbed the pom-poms, squeezed them like 3 times, and I counted because that's how I was shocked about that she did that. And I screamed. That's the first thing I did was like, no, because touching that's a violation of personal space. I did not give you permission.
Right.
2, don't touch my hair. Another thing is I worked really hard making that hair. And also when it comes to people of color or just anybody, we're very sensitive when it comes to our hair. And there's a lot of layers when it comes, I can have a whole hour conversation just about hair.
Yes.
But in her side, she just loved the hair and she just wanted to, you know, looks nice. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean you should be coming at someone and touching their hair. You have to still be mindful of that. And I feel like when people say certain things, some of them may know exactly what the hell they're saying and you want to slap them up, but you can't. And some are just like, oh, I didn't know that offended you. Right. But this is the part where I feel like people of color, we have to say, not get super angry, even though we have every right to be angry, but we have to educate them.
Educate. And like Sal Shuza was saying yesterday about listening. I love what you're saying there because as we talk about these microaggressions, that seems innocuous, just touch someone's hair. So if I was a white person hearing you say that, I would feel almost paralyzed now. What can I say? What can't I say? What do I do? What don't I do? Like, I feel like we are boxing people in and people are going to be fearful to do or say anything when they're coming from a pure heart or a place of ignorance. They can still do something wrong.
Right.
So what do we do with that? How do we bridge this gap?
Well, first thing is, one, when you say they don't know what to do, it's like, well, put it in a different way. If you're a pregnant woman, right? Do you just go out of nowhere and just touch that woman's belly, a stranger?
That used to bother me when people did that to my wife. Yeah,
and it's crazy how people do that. Now, am I going to fight the woman? No. But I am going to kind of like remind them, like, hey, this is my personal space. Now, I can go further. Let's go back to the hair talk. That understand that as a child, I was told that my hair was not good hair. I was told that my hair, you can tell where my roots come from just by my hair.
Yes.
You wearing a fro can be sometimes intimidating for certain people, or it doesn't look professional, but yet that's me. I can't put my hair straight. My hair doesn't naturally do that. I can change it, I can treat it, but I don't want to do that because that's another way of me hiding of who I am.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
so again, it's more like the person who is giving these small microaggressions. One, you got to do the research. You got to see where they're coming from. But two, as the Black person, sometimes they're just not aware. I know it sounds like common sense. You're not supposed to touch someone,
Yes.
but like the same way how we get passionate about certain things, or we get happy when we see that little dog that's walking down the street, we just want to pet it. We don't think, we're just like little kids. We're just like, oh, look at that shiny thing. I want to touch it.
Right. So without making excuses, there's a novelty to it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I always tell people that I have no issue talking and explaining of what it is to be a Black person or Afro-Latina, but you cannot come to me with no ideas, like a paper, like a teacher, right? You want to be a good essay writer, and your teacher said, write the essay. If you come to the teacher with no essay, how do you expect them to give you corrections? How do you expect them to give you guidance?
That's a great point. That is a fantastic point. Yes. And that speaks to our efforts that we're putting in. When we try and fail, like Leslie Logan said the other day, we want to fail forward.
Yes, and I believe, and the thing is, I know we're fearful that we're afraid to say something or do something because everyone's gonna get mad. But it's like, how else are you gonna learn? You have to make those mistakes. Sometimes you're gonna get back that doesn't make you feel good, but sometimes it's a lot of it is criticism, is good criticism,
Yes.
right? It's not everyone's trying to get at you, but
right.
Again, you need to make these mistakes for you to move on forward. I did the same mistakes too.
Yes, yes. Now think of it like a parent. Now I'm a parent. I have boys. I have a stepdaughter. I have these 3 guys in my house, and I always have to explain to them there's a difference between correction and punishment.
Exactly.
If I'm correcting you, it's because I want you to be better. If I'm punishing you, it's because I want to show you that you did this wrong and don't ever do it again. And I think that we need, as a Black people, to have an air of correction as opposed to an air of punishment when people make a mistake when they're trying.
Right. Right. When they're trying.
When they're trying.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you can sniff out when someone's trying and when someone is just putting out their 1-minute speech to say they're sorry.
Right. Right.
And there's a difference between the two.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I fully agree with that. Just because train of thought. Just because I know we're angry. I know that we have a lot of hurt. I know my version of screaming was me posting information about, people of color and the things that we go through. That was my version of screaming. But that other part was just showing you and educating you what's happening into the world. Now, what I would tell folks, like at least people of color, not saying for everyone because everyone can do whatever they want, but don't bite the heads off just yet. Give them a chance, right? And hold them accountable. You are going to say something, but don't bite, because then it's like a kid. If you just punish the child and you say, don't do this ever, you're going to traumatize them. They're going to be like, never do it again. You need a way to guide them and correct them. But there are moments when you do have to sometimes, when I say punish, I don't say beat the kid, but sometimes for them to learn, they have to fall on their face.
Yes.
And I believe that sometimes we do correct and we give the information, but then no one takes it in. And then you wonder, why am I getting angry? Because you weren't listening to me the first few times when I told you, don't touch my hair.
How many times I tell you stop touching your hair, right?
Wait. Just little memories. Don't
flashback
do that. No, yeah, don't do that. That belt sound. Ooh. Anyway.
Yep.
But that's what I'm trying to say is like we're yelling, we're screaming, we're yelling, and we're saying, we're talking, we're like, hey girl, don't do that. No, I don't think you should be saying saying that you only date Black guys because you want a biracial kid. Like don't certain things. Be careful what you say, because I'm giving you the information and you're like, okay, whatever, and then you keep going and saying the same old stuff, and it's like, look, listen here, girl. So you have to be open to listening. Yes. And we as us, I know we have been patient. I know we are angry, but we're going to be angry. We were angry for a while, especially with those protests. Oh, trust me, we was flipping, crying, the emotions we're going through. But
Yes.
we're still going to go through it because it's a lot for us. But understand that eventually for people, we need to have a conversation now.
Yes.
Everyone's listening. Everyone's now watching. Let's have the conversation. What you said about being in one big table, what I just want is everyone to be acknowledged, everyone to be heard from both sides, not just one side. Because if I'm screaming and screaming and screaming and screaming at you, I'm going to feel like I'm being attacked. That person's going to feel like they're being attacked. But wait, I want to say, no, I'm mad. You can't do that. That's not how change works. Well, some changes work like that. But we have to have the conversation, and then we have to put in the work, and we have, like how I want certain platforms to be accountable for the action they're going to do to make things better. Just because you hire a Black person, right, doesn't mean, oh, okay, I'm good now. Like, no, do you acknowledge that person? Do you listen to their voice? That's putting in the work. You have to be open to that. If you don't do that, so what's the point of hiring that Black person? To make you look good?
Yes. Right.
So I'm a little bit all over the place because also my heart is still pounding.
You are right on track, my friend. You are right on track. Right.
So, yeah, again, I don't speak for every Black person. Understand that there are some people, if you're in your 50s, 60s, you have gone through a lot of the segregation, the Jim Crow laws, the redlining zone. I'm born in 92. I was still in my diapers when all that stuff was happening. But I can tell you it's still happening because we're having this conversation right now.
That was beautiful when Maria was talking about Kathy Grant and the trailblazing that she did, the determination that she had, the discipline that she brought to the table. And there was a sense of, I worked so hard to get a seat at this table. It just really moved me. And I hear in all that you're saying here, Yunny, that you are working so hard to make sure that people get a seat at that table through your education, through your posts. And there's a saying, do not let anyone despise you because of your youth. So I just want to say to you, keep speaking strong. Do not let anyone despise you because of your youth. Your youth in your experience as a Pilates instructor, your youth in terms of your years on this planet, in this skin, like you're speaking wisdom right now, and just keep speaking loudly in every arena that you're allowed to go into.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
It's nice to hear that because I'm 27 years old. Yes, guys, I'm 27. And sometimes when I meet people, I don't really know how to call it because I say older, wiser, they always have something to say. Like, I'm like, look, you're older than 27 years old. Just, that's it. I feel like sometimes that people would say to me, oh, she don't know what she talk about. She hasn't gone through life yet. Or she doesn't really have anything to say. And that's not fair.
It's not.
And I feel like even though I'm 27, you still can learn, even from a Pilates instructor who just became a Pilates instructor. You can still learn something from that person.
Yes.
So, yes, I agree with you 100% that I'm not going to let anyone ever make me feel like that again. And that's why I'm talking. And yeah.
Good for you. There is so much to learn. We've had conversations with like Miguel Silva was on here earlier, and we had this beautiful conversation about the fact that you can learn from the newest instructor. If you are looking, or if you're on a quest for wisdom as an instructor and as a coach, there'll be so many moments when people with their fresh eyes come to this Pilates mat teaching people, and they give you a new cue or they give you a new angle or something, and we take that back and we all get better at it as a result. So it's good. It's good to see. I love your zeal. I love your passion. Like you were saying, on both levels, like on this Pilates world and in this like anti-racism campaign that this world is on right now.
Right.
Love it.
Right. I love what Misty say about like playing in the sandbox. And a lot of us wants just to play inside the sandbox. But what I don't want is us to be throwing sand at each other and burning each other's eyes, because one, that hurts.
Yes.
I want us to enjoy each other. I want us to learn the person we are, because we have to learn how to adapt. You know, we can't just say, oh, this is how I feel, this is, you don't get it, this and that, or people just like, I don't know what you're talking about, I don't know what to do. It's like nothing is getting done.
Yes.
I feel like there's too much noise. We're not getting solutions. We need solutions. We need to figure out how to get that change to stick. I don't want this to fizzle out and then things go back to normal. That's why I'm making sure it's not going to happen.
Yes.
I want solutions. I want to have the talks. We have to have the talks. We both have to feel uncomfortable, but we have to both listen to each other's sides.
Absolutely. And that's why I think, I believe that this is such an amazing opportunity to take these Thursdays in June on this GRATZ page, right? When we talk about making change, it's not just to throw a token gesture or a token black screen out on one day and think that you've done your part. There's people who are going to bat to ensure that there is some sustainable change. So I love this first step that we're taking right now.
And the funny thing, I feel like as we keep going with these steps, we're going to actually like it and enjoy it. For example, I'm a contemporary teacher, and that word, that's a different conversation. But I was open to taking a classical class. I was open to experiencing a GRATZ machine. Now, do I like that the straps hit my shoulders? Not really. But I do like the fuzzies, you know, I like the fuzzy handles. I like how you have with the equipment, you gotta work. Especially that last bit of inch, when I feel like I'm done and I know you need to really pull that carriage in, really use that powerhouse. I'm like, ugh, you know? But because of that, I know how to teach with different equipment. I know how to give respect for both classical and contemporary. But if I just get classical instructors say, no, this is the way, and a contemporary say, no, you're wrong, it's just like, how about we just see each other, we be in both each other's shoes, and let's experience, let's explore.
Yes. It's all movement.
Yes! Yes, it's all movement. And that's the point of this, right? We want everyone to enjoy and feel movement. We deserve that. That's what our body likes. So does it matter if it's classical, if it's contemporary, if it's a GRATZ machine, if it's a balanced body reformer? It's Pilates. The point is, it's Pilates. Same thing is, you know, with black and white people, we're humans. We're still human beings. We still have feelings. We still get hurt. We still cry. You know, we still want to be heard. I always feel like, I think like the stuff that we do now as adults, I think we're all still children. We just show the adult version of it.
Right.
Deep down, we're just kids. You know, one thing I did talk about was when I said that I had to look like a certain teacher, what I did was code switching. And if anyone you guys know that what we do a lot for us, we basically have to put on this mask. And it's exhausting putting on that mask. And for me, I just got tired. And then once I started to take off that mask and show who I really am, actually people enjoyed who I am. They stopped seeing my skin and my hair, and they just start seeing Yunny is this fun, bubbly teacher that really has an eye for detail and correction and loves to curse sometimes and and loves to make jokes and loves people to enjoy their Pilates. But if I keep this
switching?
Yes.
Code switching. Okay.
And it's just, I feel like for us, we have to stop doing that so you can see who we are. And for white people to just be open that we are different and that we're not all the same, and don't put us in a category. Just see us as an individual.
Yes.
And yeah, that's what I have to say about that. Yeah.
Absolutely. If I can provide an illustration of what code switching is for those of you who are watching. If you remember watching Oprah Winfrey's show back in the day, and one time she would have Jay-Z on and Beyonce, and she would talk in her vernacular and she'd connect with the crowd there. And then she'd have the Prince of, you know, the Queen of England would be on, and then she'd talk very proper, and then she'd have a presence and a thing like that. And it's not a question of whether it's fake or not. It's a question of how we switch our vernacular to connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
So code switching is when you switch your vernacular to connect with people. But in our context, in this racially tense context, what happens is that code switching is done not to connect, but because we're fearing the negative stereotype when we be ourselves.
Yes.
So I just want to educate us on that code switching, when we switch our vernacular for fear of, oh, there goes the black girl being too loud and boisterous, or there goes the angry black man, or there goes his talk, his hood speak, or whatever it is, we code switch to stay away from those negative stereotypes. Whereas what Yunny's talking about here is just being ourselves and having permission to be ourselves in every space.
Right. But for permission to be ourselves, we have to get that back. But if I be myself and then you said, oh, I knew that was going to be like that, you judge me, then it makes me come back to putting that mask again. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be myself because you're giving me the reaction that I expected. So yes. Again, it's both sides have to do it. I want to be myself, but you have to allow me to be myself. Because if you don't let that, then I'm just like, screw it. It didn't work. I'm just going to go back to where I was. And then no one learns. No one wins.
No one wins. Like Get to Work says here, to make others comfortable and they still see you differently. That's true. I think there's nothing wrong with them seeing us differently. I think that's the whole point of this whole, the last few months is just recognizing the fact that different is scary, but different is good. Different is uncomfortable, but different is healthy. I think I believe that the problem is that people want things to be exactly the same all the time. And that is the real root of our racism. You want to sit beside people that look like you. You want to work beside people that look like you. You want to do everything with everyone that looks just like you. And that is not our world.
Right.
Exactly. It's just not like that. It's okay to be uncomfortable. That's where we start.
And I think this is like the whole theme about it, about being uncomfortable, because I know that I can show who I'm a great instructor through my work, but what I need to work on is myself. And I have to put the investment in like, okay, Yunny, I always worked on Pilates Yunny, but I didn't work on Yunny. And I feel like that's a lot for a lot of instructors. I've met amazing instructors who I feel like, oh my God, everyone should know who you are. What's wrong? But then I start to see those little insecurities that we all have. Yes. And I feel like, great, that's great that you're an amazing instructor, but let's focus on that person, because you still need to work on that. And that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm going on to this live. That's why I'm doing so many things that make me comfortable. The same way that I decided that, you know what, I don't like teaching Pilates because the way it makes me feel, because I'm not comfortable speaking out to people. I did it anyway. And guess what? Good. Now I am on live having a conversation and people watching, giving out hearts.
Yes. Yeah.
So
that's because you're killing it right now.
Let's just get uncomfortable. Let's get there. Screw it. And let's keep going. Just keep going. Because once you get to the end of that road, it's going to be like, wow, this is amazing.
Yes.
Look at us just being all on the table, having conversation, enjoying each other's time. That's what I really want. Let us just be. I want to be what I want people to be what they really were supposed to be. I want the world what it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Respect for everyone, acknowledgement for everyone. That's what I want. I want everyone on the table, how you say it.
One big table. Everyone's sitting at one big table.
Yeah.
Any final takeaways for our viewers here? You've talked about so many beautiful things today, Yunny.
Not everyone. I know that not some folks are comfortable speaking out or going on live or promoting themselves, and if that's fine, that's what you can do, great. But if you're a person who wants to change or want to see a difference, baby steps, right? Yes. I didn't just come on live and just like, hey, I'm gonna do an interview. Before I did the interviews, I had to just go on my social media, just go on my camera and record myself. Because that was even hard for me. And then after recording myself, then I went on live. And if you see my very first live, which is on Facebook, I am sweating. You can see it. I'm sweating. I am stuttering. I'm like, my voice is high as hell. You can't even understand what the hell I'm saying sometimes. I don't even understand what I'm saying. So, but I did it anyway. But now I'm here. I'm not perfect. I still got a lot of work to do, and I'm gonna have to watch this video. That's the thing is, once we do it, you can't just say, all right, I'm done. You gotta put in more of the work. It's not, you don't stop there.
That part's uncomfortable, watching ourselves. But like you said, get better every day. Yunny, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for bringing me in here on this platform. And I hope to come back and talk more about Pilates and eventually have those conversations. Because I have a lot about when it comes to Pilates, but I feel like this is something we have to specifically talk about first before we go back, not to normal, but go back to business, you know?
Thank you so much for joining us today on Core Conversations. This organic platform has been made possible by amazing people like yourself. So if you're a Pilates instructor or a movement specialist of some kind and you want to be a guest, please message me. If you're in some other field and the messages just resonate with you, message me. I'd love to have you on. All of our messages connect, and for some reason, they all help us in this battle. We're all in this game together, so I'd love to hear from you. Let your words be life to someone else. Check out our website, personalvictory.ca. Click the Core Conversations page to see who our upcoming guests are, and I will see you next time on Core Conversations.